What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the greatest show on earth, the Millionaire Mindsets Podcast. I am your host, Xavier, and today I got another amazing episode for y'all. You already know I've been pushing out that content like crazy for y'all, like I told you I would, and today I got something even better. But before we get started, I'd like to advise all the watchers and listeners to please hit that like button, subscribe, leave us a 5-star rating, a review. We read all those things, so if you could do that, I would greatly appreciate it. And getting right to the show, today I got a very special guest. This is one of those episodes y'all better be tapped into. Y'all better share it because there's about to be a lot of value exchanged on here. And I got my guy, Basil Jackson. He's a former professional athlete, and now he's an entrepreneur. He's in the credit and business funding space, and I'm very excited to have him on the show. Welcome to the show, brother.
My brother.
Yes,
appreciate it, man. I'm looking forward to it. We got to go crazy.
We got to go crazy.
You done have some heavy hitters on here, bro. So
I'm glad to have you.
We got to come with it, man. We got to come with it.
Let's get straight to it, man. So for the people that may not seen you before, they might be not paying attention to what's going on in the world, stuck under a rock. Just give a brief background on who you are and what specifically it is that you do.
Cool. Yeah. So like you said, my name is Basil Jackson. I go by Billionaire Bays on all social media platforms. And man, you know, like there's so much information online about credit and funding. And I was one of those people that was just another guy, you know, that grew up like people that look like us, thinking that, you know, rapping or making it to the NFL was a way for me, and I can't rap. So I tried to make it to the league, and that didn't quite work out the way that I wanted to. I had some, you know, practice squad opportunities, got to bounce around playing the Canadian Football League, played in Germany as well, so pretty well traveled.
Yeah, that's dope.
And you know, everybody was like, athletes do well with sales. You should look into sales. So started climbing the corporate ladder at AT&T doing sales, and the money wasn't money and life wasn't lifing, and so throughout that time, you know, I knew I was mentally unemployable. And so I had tried all these different side hustles, Airbnb, trucking, stocks, e-commerce, drop shipping, all of that. And kept running into the same issue. Like, dang, bro, it's like I'm putting my money into my business, but I'm unable to scale. So, you know, really ended up taking a step back, shutting all that down. Like, let me really get this credit stuff right. I done seen some stuff online. I've been following people talking about credit and funding, all this stuff. And so, you know, really nerded out on the credit stuff. And, you know, it's been a couple of years now and started a funding company. We've funded over 75 million, you know, between the people in my coaching program and myself as well, our company. And yeah, we've been able to build a 7-figure business in about 24 months. So,
damn.
Yeah.
That's impressive, bro. And two things I want to ask you, because you said that you heard that athletes do well in sales. So my first question is, why do you think that is? Because that's not the first time I heard that. So that's pretty interesting to me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So you know, it's so funny when you talk about like that statement. I just believe in the compound effect in general. So, you know, even just kind of with being able to build a 7-figure business in a short amount of time, same thing kind of with the athletes and the sales thing. It's certain things, you know, like being in college, you know, being responsible for, you know, you eat what you kill, you know, and sales kind of has a different or the same type of kind of mentality or structure where it's like, okay, you know, if you don't produce, then you don't eat, you know, in college or in the pros, whatever it might be, it's like, if you don't produce, we'll find somebody, you know, the next day. So you got to show up every day, got to hit your KPIs, you know, all those different things. And, you know, just as far as just being in that structure and kind of like that shark type environment where you got to produce, I think that's why, you know, a lot of athletes transition well into it.
And you said you was mentally unemployable.
Man.
So when did you know that and how did you know that?
Man, I think I've known that for a while. I mean, you know, I tell people, you know, I've been in this space only a couple of years, but I've been an entrepreneur all my life. So,
really?
You know, 4th grade, you know, I had my sister type up a letter for me to knock on doors and pass out flyers to get people to let me cut their grass. So, you know, I remember the first yard that I got, somebody agreed to let me cut their grass. I couldn't finish it because I couldn't push the lawnmower to, you know, cut that big yard. And since then, I mean, I've always, you know, whether it was buying candy at Dollar General or whatever it might be, you know, I've always just believed that I deserve more, you know, than kind of what I'm seeing and what's around me. So, you know, that's just something that I've known and even just seeing and getting a taste of that league money is kind of one of those scenarios where it's like, man, people are out here killing it. And they're not no different than me. So,
facts.
You know, and as best I understand, you know, nobody else, you know, at my 9 to 5 was driving a Lambo or nothing like that. So, I mean, it was going to have to, that money was going to have to come from somewhere.
And you got the Lambo. He pulled up, y'all. Y'all can't see it because y'all in the studio. He pulled up in the Lambo. I said, oh, he ain't playing. He getting to it.
Man.
So you said you've been your company has been in place for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
So before you started the company, what were you doing, and what was that thing that made you say, I'm going to go into this space? Because this is such a specific niche-based space, and some people may see it as like crowded or it's just too much competition. So what made you do this?
Yeah, no. So it's so funny because as it relates to, just business in general, I believe there's like a couple industries that I believe are like really recession proof. I believe, fitness, anything surrounding like women's stuff, like beauty, hair, nails, regardless of what's going on, they're gonna find a way to get their hair and nails and stuff done. And credits, also one of those things where it's like people are always going to continue to mess their credit up. And so, God has just such a funny sense of humor where it's like anything that my mom could have put in my name growing up, light bill, phone bill, gas bill, whatever, that they would let her, she put in my name. And so I actually went through the pain of having to clean my credit and just document the process, bro, of like me going through that journey. I would have people reach out to me like, well, you got to help me out.
See.
So I started helping people out and started to have people reach out to me, to do like podcasts, different things like that. And, it just really kind of completely blew the brand up.
What was those first steps when you started fixing your own credit? What was those first steps like?
Yeah, so, it's so funny because watching this, a lot of people don't execute, right? But, and now we got technology, bro. It's so crazy that people can go and tell ChatGPT, hey, put together a letter for me with, to help me delete late payments or whatever it might be. But for me, kind of back when I was doing it is man, I actually would just like YouTube videos. I did end up taking a course. I ended up finding a free course online and start putting letters together, Googled the addresses to the credit bureaus and would just kind of like put those negative items on there, those negative accounts, and send those letters. And next thing I know, shit, the scores start going up, stuff start coming off, bro.
Would you bringing up ChatGPT? I want to ask you, can ChatGPT help you increase your credit score, and if so, how?
Man, so this some game. We on a pod, so we gotta go crazy. There's a lot of people on here, so. Man, a lot of people are getting scammed by these credit repair gurus, these credit repair people, because they trying to pay people thousands of dollars to do something that only takes 15 or 20 minutes to do. So with ChatGPT, the internet has just completely changed the landscape where you can do things like go on Identity IQ, My Free Score Now, My Score IQ, these free platforms, and get like an accurate copy of your credit report, and then you go and tell ChatGPT, hey, draft me letters to remove late payments using consumer law, or draft me letters to remove collections, late payments, charge off, bankruptcy, whatever it might be. Insert whatever type of thing you're dealing with on your credit, repo, eviction, draft me a letter removing an eviction, for example, using consumer law or Metro 2. And ChatGPT will spit that out. And then, you can add the adjustments. ChatGPT say like, okay, give me experience address, or give me each address I need to send this letter to, and then it'll spit all that info out and copy and paste it into a Word doc and print it off, lick the stamp envelope, and drop it off at the post office.
And crazy, that's game, bro. And crazy part is ChatGPT even put it into the PDF format for you, for real.
Absolutely, where you copy and paste it, and you could tell ChatGPT like, make it sound like me,
right?
Even add this is some major game right here, a Jim too. Threaten to sue if they don't remove this account from my credit report.
Just inserting that into the letter.
Tell ChatGPT to insert, sue. I will sue if you guys do not remove this account, or give me proof that this account should be reported on my credit report. And it'll give you that info. And what a lot of people don't realize watching this is the credit repair is really just about not giving up. A lot of people, jump from person to person after they don't see results for a couple of months. But it's like, you could go 10, 11 months of sending out letters, and I ain't gonna say not getting no results, but getting minimal results, then send out that 12th, month of letters, and everything come off the credit. So, that's kind of one of those things where it's like, most people don't understand they didn't mess their credit up overnight, so they can't always expect it to be completely fixed overnight.
That's a gem, because a lot of times when we go into this, we do expect it like 15 days. I expect my credit to be back.
No, absolutely. And it's so funny because I always give the example whenever I'm talking to my clients or the people that, fixing your credit is almost like going to the gym. Two people go to the gym at the same time. They do the same diet, the same workouts. One person might have a six-pack in 90 days. The other person might have a six-pack in 6 months or 12 months. You know what I'm saying? So the same thing goes with credit repair. It's like you can't look at somebody else's results and say that it should happen exactly the same way for me.
What's something that you think it might be common to you, but since you've been in this game, your business has been booming for 2 years, what's something that most people aren't aware of that they should be when it comes to this space?
As far as like from a consumer, a business owner, or whatever?
Either or, consumer or business, whatever comes to mind for you.
Man, I think that, something that people aren't aware of, I would say is really from a business owner perspective is how easy it is to make money or how easy it is to be successful. I think just kind of with today's landscape and what the power of, I talk about the compound effect and being able to put money into your business, being able to hire virtual assistants, people, in other countries for pennies on the dollar, do different things. I think it's a lot easier to scale than people think it is. When you go on websites like onlinejobs.ph and go and find people that you can staff for, like I said, anywhere from $5 to $9 a month to do those income producing activities, to help you scale up your business and stuff like that. But from a consumer perspective, I think that one of the things that a lot of people don't realize is that you can get funded even having bad credit. I think so I think a lot of people, there's two ways, pretty much that people can qualify for funding. So the first way is as long as you're making some sort of revenue, you can get, funding based off your bank statements. The other way is that if you have good credit, then you can leverage having good credit to go and get funded. But, for people that don't have good credit per se, as I was continuing to clean my credit, I wasn't quite there and I needed funds to scale my business. And what I was able to do was get, auto loan in the form of cash, deposit that into business accounts, and then apply for business credit cards. And they would be like, okay, well, this is what he deposited, so we can at least give him this limit. So you can leverage, having a personal loan or having access to some funds for a short amount of time for them to use that as like, okay, well, we know he has this much money or she has access to this much money. We can give him at least that.
We can give him that. And that's some heavy information as well, because it's little things in business. I always realize it's the little things. It don't be these drastic things that can help you elevate. It be like little small tactics and strategies that you just completely unaware of, that if you executed on them, they could change your life, but you're just not aware of it.
Man, no, 1,000%. It's so crazy too. I feel like in business or just in the concept of investing yourself, to go to the next level, there's so many people that are just going the wrong way that, you don't even have to be making these like massive strides in the right direction. It's like you can just be walking on a treadmill every day and see results, or, taking the right steps, whether it's just a little bit every day, you're going to eventually hit your goal versus a person who's, applying pressure, but they going the wrong way or something like that. So.
Yeah. What's I would say, because I like to ask people this question, especially like in your industry or any industry, but just dealing with online and what you see online, what % of information, advice you see online do you think is good advice?
Man, I was actually listening to this podcast earlier, and it's so funny, basically talking about like, there's like 12 cognitive biases. I don't know if you ever heard that before, but they got different ones. They got like, confirmation bias. I think it was placebo bias. Groupthink was one of them. And it's so funny because, what I realized when it comes to this credit stuff, or just a lot of our beliefs about finances in general, we think things are true because we believe them, but we don't believe them because they're true. So I think a lot of the information that people see online is like, they know it must be right. So I would say probably like, there's a good chunk of information online that's right. But when you talk about like the nuances of like business and stuff, it's like people don't understand. It's like you could have the whole, recipe to something, but you can be missing one ingredient that that throw off the whole thing. Like throw off the whole thing. It's like,
that's real.
It looked like a beautiful cake, but it ain't got no sugar in it, so it's like bitter, whatever it might be. I don't know.
That's real, bro. Cake, no, no, that's so real, because I said this on a few episodes ago. I said discernment. A lot of people think discernment is knowing what's right, knowing the difference between right and wrong. When discernment, to me, is really knowing the difference between what's right and what's almost right. Cause they look, and that small thing, just not knowing that small difference, like you just said, can impact things on a much grander scale.
1,000%. And to add kind of to the cognitive biases thing, one of the ones was like ego bias. So for a lot of people, they'll be married to their beliefs. So it's like if somebody believes that something is the way that it is, they would rather stick with their opinion to actually do a little bit more research. And it's like, okay, if everybody believes this, it must be true. When in reality, it's like, nah, like just because everybody believe it don't mean it's true. It's like groupthink. Or like,
I've been like this my whole life. If everybody believe it, if everybody doing it, that naturally makes me question.
Man, I'm telling you.
That makes me wonder,
like,
something ain't right about this. Because I just know the average person, they group think. So it's like, I know about 50% of y'all didn't put no thought into this. Y'all just thinking because they thought it.
Man, and it's so funny you talk about that. It's like, I feel like that's one of the things that have kind of more so, I would say not hindered me, but stopped me from maybe jumping into stocks, because I feel like you see people online talking about like, oh, you need to dump money into this coin or into this. And it's like by the time everybody's saying that you need to invest in something, it's it's over.
The money gone. You gonna put your money in, it's gonna go down like that. So, but let's talk about funding for a second. So what is something right now, 2025, we halfway through the year, I would say, what's the main thing that's stopping people from getting the funding that they want? Is it just credit alone, or is it other factors that come into play?
I would say just credit alone. Credit is a big factor, don't get me wrong, but I think that, kind of the concept you talk about, just all the misinformation that's out there. I think there's a lot of people online that are like doing the things that they're seeing online. So there's a lot of information that's saying you need to set up your LLC as consultant, or so let's go on that. Like, you need to be a consultant business. And it's like, if everybody's just using a generic description for what their business does, and you don't know, and you're going into these banks asking for 50 to 100,000, it's like they not going.
They gonna catch on eventually.
And especially if you don't look like you then had that kind of money, or if they go look at your credit report and it's like you got a bunch of trade lines or whatever it might be, it's like they're gonna look at that credit report and be like, nah, you ain't even had 10,000 to your name. You telling us that you making
100?
You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's something that I would say is like definitely hindering people in 2025, really just not taking the time to properly bid out their credit report. And it's so funny, just like with everything that's going on online, it's like a lot of times the people that want the funding so bad be the ones that don't really need it. And then the people that actually can go and get the money for their business, they don't really be pressed about it. So it's like,
would you break that down?
So I see a lot of people in my DMs, or a lot of people, they're like, I need 100,000. It's like, okay, how soon do you need it? Like ASAP. It's like, or like 2 weeks. Okay, what's your credit score? Like 500. It's like, nah, you need to get your foundation together and like learn how to actually make money in a business, instead of going and trying to get these large loans and invest in something you saw online or something like that.
You mentioned trade lines. What's your thoughts on trade lines?
The trade line game is crazy out here, bro. It's treacherous. You gotta know who you buying it from. I would say, for those of y'all that are watching that don't know what a trade line is, it's basically an opportunity for you to piggyback, off somebody's history. So, if you're my cousin or my aunt, uncle, whoever, and they have a credit card with a high limit and some age, you can have them add you to that credit card so that you can get all that positive history added onto your credit report. So I think that trade lines are beneficial whenever it's like, okay, I'm trying to go and apply for something. But a lot of people try to use trade lines as the foundation for their credit report.
Yeah,
whereas they need to add, primary accounts. A primary account is anything that's in your name. For those of y'all that are watching, auto loans, student loan, credit builder accounts. People don't know that you can use apps to backdate, and report your rent. But you need accounts that are actually in your name, not accounts that are in somebody else's name. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you might be able to like I said, have that history in your report, and it boosts, it can help it out. But, that's not going to be the foundation that's going to allow you to, get the things that you want on your credit.
I wanted to ask you this as an athlete, because they report that 70% of athletes go broke within 4 years, on average 4 years of them retiring. Why, as a former athlete, why do you think that is?
Man, I would say a lot of the athletes and people are going brokered because of like a couple things, right? And I don't want to put a color on it,
right?
For my example and my experience, what is like black tax, right? So it's like, if you got this one person that is the primary breadwinner, a person that's making the most money that has ever been made in a bloodline or whatever, and they come into some money, if they don't really have the habits and traits to help them sustain that money, or other people around them that can also generate that money, then that money's not gonna last. So I think kind of that black tax of like, okay, I just made my first $1 million or whatever it is, and I gotta go buy mama a house, I gotta look out for grandma, I gotta look out for however many brothers and sisters I got, and that survivor's guilt of like, I gotta take care of all of these people that might have looked out for me in whatever season of life. And everybody got a business idea too. So it's like, everybody got a business idea. And it's like, as soon as you get some money, it's like everybody got an idea how they could help make you some more money. And it's like, but they don't necessarily have the business acumen to actually, see those ideas through, to make money and stuff like that.
Do they, because I always wondered this, do they have like programs with professional athletes, like when they becoming, because these people are young into the professional world, making a lot of money oftentimes. Do they have like programs that's teaching them about like investing and becoming financially literate and stuff like that? Or it's just everything is like, you grown, figure this out on your own?
So they do got stuff in place. They do got resources in place. I don't know about the NBA and some other sports, but in NFL, the NFLPA, they got different things like, classes on how to watch out for these women, classes on, finances and stuff like that. But you meet a 21-year-old, 22-year-old that come into some millions, it's like, they're not trying to sit in no financial literacy.
Is they mandatory or they optional?
Nah, they be optional. I mean, like when you going through like some of the rookie stuff, some of that stuff is like, when you're there for rookie week or whatever, they might go through some of that stuff, but they're not making them go through that stuff on like a regular basis, So, and it's like, when you think about it, the average everyday person not even doing that. So it's like,
you know
what I'm saying? As a 20-something with some millions, what you gonna tell me about what to do with my money?
But you can't tell them nothing. What do they tell them in the classes when they warning them about women? What are they telling them? And who's teaching these classes?
So it depends. I mean, even now in college, it's the coaches. If you got a coach that's, a little bit more hip, they have I don't remember what it is. It's been so long, but like the Title IX stuff, I think is the stuff. But they'll have, a woman come to the class that's maybe, somebody that's promiscuous or famous or something. Be like, you need to be on the lookout for this, but. And it's a lot of freaky bums out here, bro. Dudes don't be listening, bro. They be like.
He says it's like a freaky bum, though. That's real stuff. Conversations that need to be had, because like I said, I always wonder this, because you got 19, 20, 21-year-olds, in the NBA sometimes. Well, the youngest they could be is 19, but you coming into millions of dollars,
and they kids,
and you usually, well, nowadays it's a little different, but. Before, usually you come from a background where this is the most money that somebody's ever seen.
Ever.
It's like, how do you expect this kid to handle this and with being famous? So that always, I'll be like, how do they prepping these kids? Because it's like, no reason they should be going broke within a couple of years after retiring.
Nah, not at all. And it even goes to the point of like, even the everyday person that, start getting promotions, just that lifestyle creep of like.
Facts.
I was in college just rocking straight athletic gear, but now I'm in the league, or wearing a suit and tie to games, but now I'm in the league and I feel like I gotta be Louis Vuitton down. Okay, now I need some chains, okay. But I also gotta have a watch, and it's like, damn, this vet who's on a max contract pulling up in whatever, now I gotta try to go get something to pull up in, and they not doing stuff to put themselves in position to make more money. Because I mean, they bodies is what's making the money. And when you a healthy athlete, you don't understand that you go blow your knee tomorrow, especially in football. It's like every play like could be your last play.
Could be your last play.
Really,
that's a real thing.
Like freak accident. Like it's crazy. Like, so we talking about, they say like in football, every tackle or every time two people hit each other, it's like a car crash. They say it's like the equivalent of a car crash. So you talking about 60, 70 car crashes a game, per person, depending on how many plays, is not safe. Yeah.
When, let's say how old are you?
I just turned 30.
You just turned, so you hella young. I feel like when I see a lot of people, it's hard for them to transition from being because that's something you probably didn't thought about all your life.
Yeah.
Being in the NFL, have a long career. how hard was that transition for you? Because you only 30 years old, but you excelling. So I just wonder, like, how hard was that transition for you to like flip your mentality to thinking sports athlete to now you in the business world?
Man, it was really hard. It was
Really?
really hard. Yeah, it was really hard. I think because of the route that I took, you know, I don't want to say I wasn't one of the main guys, but because I was really one of the people that was like just trying out for a lot of teams, getting more so like practice squad opportunities. Like I wasn't somebody that got drafted or that came from a big school.
Right.
I think I kind of always knew that, you know, I believed that I would make it and that I would make a career out of it, but I was still hustling, doing stuff on the side because I never got drafted and had like a bag to really just be like only focused on training.
Sure.
It's like when I was pursuing football, I was still like working at UPS, FedEx,
For
Uber,
real?
and whatever I had to do to try to make some money, especially once I got in the Canadian Football League, because it's not crazy money, but a lot of people struggle with that. I think that was something that I still struggle with to this day,
Really?
but I've been able to like use it to kind of like give me a chip on my shoulder just in business of like I gotta be the best at whatever it is I put my name to. So
That's really interesting that you even after having a successful business, you still like
man, it's hard.
struggle with it.
Especially too, it's like, I mean, you gotta think like you have been playing football since you're 19 years old and you stop pursuing it at 27, 28. It's like, I mean, that's what feels like your whole life. Yeah. So it's like, you know, even things as simple as like the motivation to work out after you're done, a lot of that stuff can go away. And a lot of people struggle with it because a lot of people, you know, might not be as bright to start a business or whatever it might be. But for somebody like me who had no interest in coaching or nothing like that, it's been rough because it's like, well, I don't want to go coach, so I'm not getting a football fix, and you're too old to be out there playing flag and trying to play semi-pro. It's like that ain't it.
My homie literally just tore his patella a couple days ago playing flag football.
See, no. But one of my barber actually, he like separated his shoulder, broke his collarbone or something, diving for a ball in Lifetime playing basketball. I'm like,
diving for the ball? He wild. He all in.
I'm like, was it a rec? Or was it like an intramural championship? He was like, nah, it's just pick up with some Indians. I'm like, bro, you out there going hard.
You
like
tripping,
that.
man. Some people just be going too far with
like,
bro, this ain't you ain't getting paid for this. You get injured. We at that age now, you get injured. Them injuries hit different, bro.
I'm telling you. They do it's rough. So.
Yeah, no, that's real. So I want to get back to the credit for a second. What is a piece of information that you feel like it's the biggest misconception right now when in the credit game and as far as information, something that's being told over and over that made it seem like it's common knowledge, but it's really like some BS.
The biggest piece of information that may be seeming like it's common knowledge. You know, I would say, let's see, in the credit space, the trade line thing is a big thing. I think a lot of people are being misled about the trade line thing. You know, I think one of the things there's a lot of misinformation out there about is like the needing an aged corp or needing like a shelf corp or an aged LLC to go and get business funding. You know, it's a lot of people watching this, and it's a lot of gurus online and saying they're selling these aged LLCs and these shelf corps to people for thousands of dollars. And it's like the average everyday person don't need an aged corp. And, you know, at least from my experience, we do like hundreds of applications a month for people to get business funding. Whereas like a person just having a standard LLC set up, you know, I would say is enough for them to go and get 100,000, 150,000.
That's enough.
And most people, I mean, we can get hundreds, 150,000 for people with brand new LLCs, like an LLC that's been open a month. So you don't need like a super aged corp to go and get business funding, because most people don't need the type of funding that these gurus are telling people that they need. You don't need 200, 300, 400. If you've never had that type of money, you don't really even know what to do with that type of money. So it's not something that's necessary. And the second thing I would say is a lot of people in 2025 are saying that real estate and trucking are high risk industries for funding. You know, there's a lot of misinformation out there about that.
That's not true?
It's not true. It's not true.
Really?
You know, we get people with real estate businesses, we get people with trucking businesses, business credit cards, business funding all the time.
What kind of real estate business though?
So obviously it's a conversational piece, right?
Okay.
So if you're going and applying online, then and you're saying, so and so's, home building or whatever it might be, you might get shot down right away. But if you're going into the branch where you can talk with the banker, if you're dealing with a business relationship manager like we have, then there's a back and forth kind of conversation with the underwriter where you can say like, this is what my business does, and you can give a story of what your business does, and you're able to actually get those funds instead of just going online and applying and getting shot down kind of right out the gate. But it's really just about having an idea, having a business plan, knowing what you're going to do with the money. And it don't matter what industry you're in. I wouldn't say go set up your LLC for credit or funding and try to, financial services definitely I would say stay away from. But as far as trucking and real estate, you can go and get funding for sure.
You help people get over 75 million. What client have you had that you could tell the story that you can share the story about where people might not believe that a person with low score or not having that much money still was able to get funded?
Man, so it's so funny. Like I talk about this all the time, but so there's two ways, right? So we have business owners that make millions of dollars a month and they got 500 credit scores, donut shops, fudge shops, restaurants, businesses like that they get funding. But for myself, I'm the biggest example of that. Whenever I was going through the process of cleaning my credit, I was really at a wall where it was like, man, I need to be able to invest in marketing for my business. Like I'm not getting what I need. And so, like I said, being able to leverage, at a time where I had, maybe a 650, 640 credit score, but I built it out, right? Not a bunch of trade lines, actually built it out with primary accounts. I was able to go and get a personal loan for like 50,000,
Really?
and then deposit that into a business account with Chase, and Chase was able to give me like a high limit credit card for like 75,000. Now, look, I'm not saying go try to go do that, but for somebody that, I don't want to burn it out for people that are watching this. By the time you try to go do that, it might not work. But but for me, that was something that I was able to do. And like I said, it's people all the time where I tell people like, don't focus on the credit score in 2025. A lot of people are so focused on their credit score, but it's like, as long as you build your report out and you actually have those primary accounts, then you'll be able to get funding.
When you say, just expound on that a little bit more, because I think some people hear that and be like, what the hell you mean don't focus on my credit score?
Yeah, so a lot of people watching this will think like, they come to me and they're like, I got a 700 credit score. How much money you think I can get?
Right.
And I'm like, okay, what's on your credit? And they got like 2 trade lines that they bought. And then they got like Self or Credit Strong, some kind of kickoff, some kind of credit builder. But it's like, if I'm going to go look at your report and you got 2 trade lines, your grandma's or some random person that you got to put on your credit card, and then a couple of credit builders, I'm not giving you 6 figures in funding. You don't need 6 figures in funding. So instead of like being so caught up in a score, you can go and like I said, add an auto loan, go add those credit builders, go and get like some high limit credit cards from a credit union, and then you can go and get funding. And a lot of times, obviously a lot of people that will get funding will be in kind of that 700 range. But if you're somebody whose report is built out and you're in the high 600s, it might be a utilization problem or something like that where you need to pay off your card so your score can get above that 700. But a lot of people get so caught in their score and just not realizing that the score is not the only factor that they're looking at all.
Describe the ideal situation for somebody. Let's say somebody listening and watching, right? Like, what's the ideal situation that somebody could be in for them to come to you, someone like you, so they could get funded? Like, what's the score? What do they need on their report? That's like, this is at the bare minimum, you good.
Okay, so I'm gonna give 3 things. So okay. I'm gonna give, like I said again, the 2 ways to qualify, for ideal person. Mm-hmm. Then I want to make sure that we get a game on like how to build your credit report out if you're watching this. So first things first, if you're on here watching this and you have even just a 550 credit score, you're making at least $10,000 a month in your business for the last 4 months in your bank statement.
Just the last 4 months.
Last 4 months, 10,000 going into your account and a 550 credit score. Those 2 things together, and we can get you an offer and get you funded within 24 to 48 hours. So that is revenue-based lending. So we do the revenue-based lending for a lot of business owners.
Right.
And then we do the credit card stacking side as well. We do some SBA stuff, term loans, different things like that. But the bare minimum, if you're watching this, is you want to have 10 to 12 positive accounts. What is a positive account? Like I said, student loan, car note, you can backdate your rent, couple credit cards, things like that. You don't want to have no negative items on your credit. So, it get a little nerdy, but this is the foundation. Your credit report, your credit score is your adult GPA. So you got to lock in on that. You don't want to have nothing negative on your reputation. So 10 to 12 accounts, a mix of those credit cards, those credit builders, auto loan, student loan, whatever primaries you can get. After that, you want to have no more than 1 to 2 increase per bureau. So no increase is ideal, because if you got a bunch of inquiries and you look thirsty to lenders.
Sure,
So if somebody come to you asking to borrow some money, and you
10
get a
people.
call from 5 or 6 people before, like, hey, yo about to come ask you for some money, it's like
none of us gave him money,
and we didn't give him the money.
Right. You'll be like,
yeah,
I ain't
gonna be the one to be a sucker. So the banks work the same way. You can't be having a bunch of inquiries on your credit report and go and think that people gonna be like they don't want to think that you're doing business with other banks. They want to look at your report and be like, oh, he don't need the money, or she don't need the money, so we'll give it to him. So those are pretty much the 2 ways that you can qualify. But if you're somebody that's watching this, you're like, hey, it's like this credit stuff, I'm not figuring it out. I got a 700 credit score, but I'm getting denied, or I'm in the 600s. I don't got nothing on my credit report because nobody ever taught me about credit. This is exactly how I would build my credit report out from A to Z.
Let's get it.
And you can go and get 150,000, 200,000, 250,000 in the next 6 months.
Okay.
Because we like to under promise and over deliver. We ain't gonna say in the next 30
days.
Yeah,
right,
like
right.
a lot of people will. So first things first. Okay, you want to go in with $300 or $500. You can go and get a bunch of credit builders. So you want to go and get the Kickoff, Self, Credit Strong. You can get Boom Pay, which will allow you to report your rent. You can backdate your rent. If you're a basement warrior watching this stand with grandma, or if you got your own crib, you can backdate your rent. And so Boom Pay, rent reporters, those are the type that you can do to backdate your rent. So you can start doing those. And then after that, let's say you're somebody that needs to get a couple credit cards, right? Or needs to get some more primary accounts. I tell people to always go bank with credit unions, because credit union more than likely is going to be the ones that are going to give you the bag. So a lot of people think that Navy Federal is the best credit union in 2025, but it's a lot other credit unions out there besides Navy Federal. It's 4,000 banks in the US, and they're looking for people to give money to. So I like PenFed, I like Alliance, Dover, Nassau. There's a bunch of credit unions that give pre-approvals that are better than Navy Federal. Those are some of the ones that I named. DCU, NIH, there's a lot. Secu, and they all pull from different bureaus as well, but they got pre-approval tools. So you can go and donate $5 or $10 to get into these credit unions, to the American Consumer Council or one of these places. You don't have to have a membership code like Navy Federal or something to get into there. So you get into one of these credit unions, you can take, let's say, $1,000, because we're showing y'all how to build it out. So I think we might be at like 5 or 6 accounts now. You can take $1,000 and go get what's called like a secured loan. So you can go and say, okay, take my $1,000 and give me a loan for $1,000. You could pay $900 back. They'll give you your $900 back, and then you can pay $10 for the next 12 months. Then you could take that $900, go get another secure loan for $900, pay off $800. They'll give you $800 back, and then pay that $10 off, and then you can go do another one. So that's 3 accounts that you can get from a secured loan. That should put you at about 10 accounts. Then most people that are watching this, the average everyday person, a bank is not going to just give the average everyday person a $100,000 business loan, right? But most people, what we realize, they'll give out student loans and they'll give out car loans. So you then can go do a pre-approval to get a car loan on your credit. And what a lot of people don't realize is, okay, if you go to a bank like Lightstream or Navy Federal, one of these credit unions, they'll often give you a car loan in a form of cash. So you can go and get those funds. Don't go buy a Rolex. Don't go blow the bag.
Glad you said it.
Get those funds, pay it right off. Now you got a paid off auto loan on your credit.
Yep.
Boom. Now we at like 10, 11 accounts. I don't know where we at now, and then you can go and do those pre-approvals to go and get you 2 high limit credit cards. You got those, boom. You let those season for a couple months. And then during that time, you should already have your LLC set up and thinking about what you want to do, to go and get funding, or with the money, once you get the money, stuff like that, and you get busy.
Yo, that's game. That's game, and that's a lot. I hope everybody that's listening
Yeah,
watching.
that was a lot. That was a
If you
lot.
need to go rewind,
Yeah.
pause, take your notes, do all that because that was heavy, valuable information. But I wanted to ask you this: as far as the rent part, if somebody adding their rent to their credit report, right? Ideally, I'm pretty sure every situation is not the same, but on average, how much does that increase your score?
Man,
How many points?
So you can, if you're watching this and you want to go, this is a gym. If you're watching this and you want to go like report your rent or something like that, you can see a 60, 70, 80 point increase from reporting your rent. So like I
Really?
said, rent reporters, boom pay, you can go and add those to your rent and it'll boost your score. But the major hack that a lot of people don't know is a lot of times it'll say list your landlord, right? So it's like whatever, I'm not telling anybody to lie, but whatever your rent is, that's what they're going to report on your credit. So let's say I list you as my roommate and I say, okay, this is my landlord. You know what I'm saying? Or this is my landlord. If
You
you're
can
my
do that?
roommate, put your number down. They're gonna call you and it's like, yo, are you Basil's landlord staying at blah, 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 blah? Yeah, that's him. What is the rent? 5,000, 6,000. Okay, how long has he been living there? 9 years. So you can do things like that. And like I said, by the time y'all seeing this, go do this right now. Because if you watching this 90 days from now, that they might have switched up the game because of y'all abusing it. But you can go and say, okay, boom, yeah, he's been living here 9 years, his rent's 6,000, and they'll say, okay, well, we're not gonna give him 9 years, but we'll backdate it 5 years. So now you got an account where it's like, damn, he's been paying
rent
5,000-6,000 on time for 5-6 years or however many years they give you, and that's an account that's on your credit report. So to add to the whole misconception thing, what a lot of people don't realize is they think, oh, I want to clean my credit and then I want to set up an LLC, or I want to clean my credit and then start building my credit.
Right.
But what a lot of people don't realize is you can go and get approved for things with bad credit, because when you're adding these credit builders, when you're adding your rent, different things like that, they're going to look at those accounts and say like, damn, he or she is showing positive payment history. Maybe we should give him a chance. You know what I'm saying? Instead of just trying to clean your credit and go in with a blank credit report, you don't have nothing on there.
That's heavy, bro. And that's something small that if you could increase your score by 50, 60, 70 points, that's big. That's big. That 50 points is something that difference is something that's stopping people from getting funding, stop people from getting into the apartment they want, all that type of stuff.
1,000%. And I'll take it a step further. Like you said, it's like, okay, if you're somebody that has an eviction on your credit report, but you go and add a rent reporters, to backdate your rent, or a boom pay to backdate your rent, and then you go apply, it's like, okay, he got an eviction on his credit report, but the amount for this eviction is, let's say, half of what it's saying he's been staying at this other address for 5 years. So it's like you can go and add that account, and it's almost like a second chance or another opportunity for you to be extended that credit.
Yo, let's talk about running a funding company for a second. I want to segue into that. How, like, 2025, what does somebody need to get into this industry right now? Is it a specific amount of money they need? Is it like certificates? Is it degrees? Like, what do you need to get into this industry?
So it's so funny, and I'm quoted saying this, and a lot of people be stealing my sauce, but I think that running a funding company is the easiest business to get into and the easiest business to run in 2025.
Why?
Because, you're selling money. The next closest thing is selling ice cream, and you need money to buy ice cream. So, and I done seen some people say it online, and this is where it comes from. So if you hear somebody saying that, if your mentor is saying that, come find me, and you'll see where he's getting his game from. So, but it's the easiest thing, right? And so if we're thinking about, okay, how can I make money? What better way to make money than to be involved in the process of exchanging money back and forth, right? So it's like, if I'm the middleman and you're exchanging money with this person, the bank is giving you money, and I'm in the middle of that transaction, I'm naturally going to be involved in that transaction. So a lot of times we're running a funding company. The beautiful part about it is you don't need, if you want to get into real estate or trucking, whatever it might be, stocks, whatever it might be, you're going to need money to actually implement that idea. By starting a funding company, all you really need is stuff that you probably already have. So if you're watching this, you probably got cell phone, you probably got Wi-Fi, you probably got a laptop. If you don't got Wi-Fi, You can go to a coffee shop.
So
And so for anybody watching this, some of the super simple, easy ways is to just go on Facebook and say like, hey, you know, I can help people get access to funds, you know, work your warm network of the people in your phone. And you can just leverage pre-approval tools and, you know, and just Google, you know, personal loans. You can go on a website like credible.com and enter in somebody's information. It'll do a soft pull and pretty much you just fill out the application, you know, and so it's a way to make money fast because a lot of us learn how to make money slow. And a lot of us learn how to trade time for money. But when you are running a funding company and you see the vision of like, damn, okay, I just did a credit card application or a loan application and this person got 50,000 and it took me 15 minutes and then I charged 10%. I mean, that's $5,000 that you can make from 15 minutes of work. So you can make a full-time income working part-time hours. And so that's why I'm on fire about it. You know, it's completely changed my life in a short amount of time. And if somebody's watching this, it's the easiest way for them to make money in 2025. And they don't have to worry about going and getting loans. They don't have to worry about leveraging their credit and taking on a risk when there's hundreds, thousands of business owners out there daily that are looking to get access to funds. You know, I think they say like 4 out of 5 businesses fail due to lack of capital. So, you know, if you can be the liaison or the person that's helping, you know, connect the dots of the people that are looking to get money from the banks and stuff like that, then you can make a fortune.
Yeah, most businesses don't last at all. The number, I forgot the exact percentage and the stats on this, but the number of businesses that make it to 10 years, it is so slim. Like, it's so hard to make it to 10 as a business owner. Most fail and they fall out. And what woke me up to like the business funding space, I remember when I first moved to Dallas actually, and this was early 2021, like a month after I moved here, I knew somebody that was in the space.
Okay.
And I remember just seeing him in, I lived in the high rise at the time, seeing him in the conference room. I remember one day he in the conference room, he got a headset on. Yeah. We just started talking one day. I'm like, he's telling me what he do. He like, yeah, I made 30,000 a day. I'm like, doing what? He like helping people get funded. I'm like, you made 30,000 today? Yeah. So that woke me to like, damn, this space is.
I'll be honest with you, even in 2025, if you're watching this, whenever you're watching this, I mean, the banks, there's over 4,000 banks, right? So it's very practical and very logical for a person to have a 6-figure side hustle from running a funding company. I mean, like, I got into this because I didn't have a lot of time because I was working a 9 to 5. And so I wanted to make a lot of money, but I didn't have a lot of time. And so, you know, I was in the conference room on my lunch break, filling out applications and getting people $100,000 loans, making 10,000, going back to work, looking at my manager like, man,
you don't even know
you ain't lit like this.
That's real though. Let's take it back to before you start the company, you launched the company. How long were you researching, studying, getting informed on this industry? Like, how long did that take you?
Man, so, you know, it's so funny. A lot of people have, you know, mixed reviews about different things. You know, I think the reason why a lot of businesses fail is because people are so focused on the preparation that they don't just start. Yeah, like, and starting is like the hugest part of it because like with any, you know, business is like, you know, if a person is just taking forever to start, it's like, and there's another person that's just starting and taking imperfect action. By the time the other person start, you might have tried 10 times and found a way better way. Or like, you know, a lot of people are watching this and they might be, you know, delaying on jumping into a stock or whatever it might be, starting a funding company. And it's like, by the time they finally start, it's a new wave or it's, you know, new banks, new methods, different things like that. So, you know, I mean, starting is like starting is the hugest part, but super practical. Like I said, you know, for somebody to earn a full-time income, you know, doing this.
Yo, that's such a good point because when you say that, I think about like comparing it to the gym. Like you got 2 people that want to get in shape, and then you got the one guy, he may be like, I need to put my plans together, get my diet right, put all these little things together. Then you got the other person that's just like, I'm just gonna go to the gym.
Man.
And I figured it out as I go to the gym. And that person, by the time the first person go, the second person then already lost 10 to 15 pounds.
Man, and with this industry, I see it all the time. It's like so many people that are like, I gotta get the LLC, the logo, the website, and it's like they a couple grand in and they ain't even made no money yet. And it's like, why not go and get a couple clients? You know, why not work your warm market? You know, get a couple credit repair and or funding clients, and then you can make some money, and then you can use that money to go do what you need to do, you know?
No, that's you talking that talk, bro. And it's how like let's say because this is kind of it's a popularized niche now. Some people
I definitely would say
when they hear this,
Yeah.
they really about to be like, I'm about to go start a fund. How and things like that. How do you continue to market, get yourself out there, and find new clients, especially let's say somebody that don't got a pop in social media.
Yeah, totally. No, and it's so funny because I don't really consider myself a social media guy. Now I'm in a place where I'm more on purpose, and I realize it's like if I don't give out this game, you know, there's a lot of people that don't have the opportunity or just don't know about this stuff.
Right.
But if you're somebody that's watching this, I think that's really the main thing that separates me from a lot of people or what I teach. You know, I'm gonna do a free class for everybody watching this or what I teach. The difference is like a lot of people aren't showing people how to get clients, and so you know, some of the simple ways I like to show people to get clients is they can go set up a virtual listing on Eventbrite or something, and they can filter it to their location. And this goes for any business model, you know, whether you do lashes, you know, podcasts, whatever it might be, you could go set up a virtual listing and saying like, you know, free podcast consultation or free business funding consultation. You could set the event to virtual, and then people can contact the organizer, and you can filter it, like I said, to your area to where people will reach out to you. You know, another one of the ways that I like to do is like just having business cards. You know, you network with people, whether going to the farmer's market or going wherever. It's like if you don't want to be online, then you just got to shake hands in public.
Yeah.
You know, that's another way. Another way that I'm doing, if people watching this, this is more game I got to give out, is I just went and wrapped the cash car with my brand and my logo on it with a QR code. And so, and I let, you know, and I charge like Uber drivers to drive it around, Uber or Instacart, DoorDash people to drive it around. So I make money weekly from them renting out the cash car. And then I get like a couple consultations a week from
Somebody
them just
seeing it on
riding,
the
people
road.
seeing it and just scanning, you
That's
know,
creative.
scanning it and seeing the credit repair on there. So there's a lot of ways. I would say if you do want to run that business, you don't have to be online posting, but I would encourage people to be online because you can do things like DM realtors, DM, you know, car salesmen, different people, and leverage them as affiliates to say like, okay, hey, if you don't have clients, you know, you want a way to stabilize your income, send me to people and I can help them get funding, or hey, you know, I can help them clean their credit or boost their credit. Because I would say for anybody that's doing funding that's watching this, if you're not doing credit repair as well, then you're missing out on a lot of money.
Really?
Yeah, definitely. Because everybody wants money, but everybody don't qualify for the money. So it's like when you're having those conversations and people are like, I don't qualify just yet, you want to make sure that you're still able to collect that money.
Still get the money.
Get paid for your time. You know what I'm saying? So especially if you're just starting out and you don't have a staff to take the calls, it's like you want to get paid for your time.
No, that's true. Absolutely,
Yeah.
you want to get paid
Yeah.
for your time.
You definitely want to get paid for your time.
Yeah, I want to. I got a few more questions for you. What in your after all the things you've done, the experience, the success, growing your business this fast, that's impressive, bro. So I want to salute you for that one for sure. What would you say is the most important or the most surprising thing, I should say, you learned about money during this process?
The most surprising thing that I've learned about money throughout this process, man, I would say that I think one of the most surprising things that I've learned about money is that it sounds crazy, and I feel like I used to hear stuff like this whenever I wasn't making money, but now that I'm in this
And it
position
probably
that I'm
sounded
in,
stupid to you, didn't
I
it?
sound like a madman saying it and even trying to tell my friends, but like it's easier to make a lot of money over a short period of time than it is to make a little bit of money over a long period of time. And so like, it's like, I feel like the desire or the opportunity to make money comes down to just a decision. You know,
I agree.
A decision is like, if you're deciding to hammer nails, you're deciding to drive for UPS, FedEx. I did those jobs. There's nothing against anybody that does that. Then you're subscribing to a certain way of life and a certain ceiling that you're only going to be able to make. But if you're pursuing ventures where the ceiling is high, practically, not, you know what I'm saying, like gambling or sports betting or something, like something very practical, you know, where millionaires are made in the industry, people are making money, then I feel like you can get a piece of that pie.
No, I absolutely. I remember hearing Magic Johnson in an interview about 5-6 years ago, And this always stuck out to me. He was like, the same amount of time it takes to make 100 million is the same amount of time it takes to make a million. The same amount of time it takes to make 100,000, the same amount of time it takes to make a million. He was like, so you should just go after big deals, try to make bigger money. And that
1,000%.
always stuck with me because it's so true.
1,000%.
But I feel like a lot of people will hear that and be like, man, fuck out of here. That's some bullshit.
1,000%. And I just realized it's like, you know, one of the things that I realized is like a lot of people just got plutophobia. So a lot of people who don't know what plutophobia is, it's like the fear of money.
No,
so like,
bro, talk about that.
A lot of people just have a fear of money, and they think that they don't have a fear of money, but they do have a fear of money. So they think that they don't have a fear of money because everybody watches like, I want to make more money, of course. But they don't realize that they have a fear of money in the way that they behave. They say things like, money is the root of all evil, or people that make a lot of money, they had to do something to get that money, or even just something as simple as they're not even looking at their money, checking their bank account.
Facts.
Like it's like if you're avoiding looking at your account because you feel like it's not a lot in there, then
you have a fear of money.
Then you have a fear of money.
Subconsciously.
And if you fear something, then you're gonna avoid it. So if you're avoiding money, how are you gonna make a lot of money? So,
bro, you talking that? Because I was literally gonna ask you, how would somebody know if they have that fear of money? But you just
a lot of people have that fear. So it's like if you're somebody that's saying like money is the root of all evil, or you know, people that are making a lot of money are evil or they're doing something evil, then you're gonna avoid being like those people. So it's like if you're avoiding that, then
bro, that's so real because I was doing this experiment probably like 6 months ago. I was asking a lot of people I know personally that's killing it in business. I was asking everyone, I said, how often are you looking at your bank account? 95, 98% of them, if they didn't say every day, it was every other day.
Man.
And that's so opposite of what people who don't have. You ask somebody that don't got money, well, how often are you looking at your bank account?
Man.
They might be like, I ain't looking until my card hit decline. I'll try to buy something to go decline, then I go look.
I'm telling you. And it's so funny, like I think for me, that financial literacy came from when I didn't have it. Because it was like, damn, I was having to check that account to make sure that transaction was going to go through whenever I was trying to do it. So I was checking that account all the time. But I mean, if you're somebody that's like just trying to get in position, you gotta be like at least checking that account when you wake up in the morning.
Bro, you gotta be. Yeah. If you checking
at
Instagram,
least in the morning. Yeah.
No, bro. If you checking Instagram, pop culture, the Shade Room page, Twitter, spiritual word, but you ain't check you checking all those things every day before you check your bank account or your email. You have a fear of money. I don't care what nobody say.
Man, you better say that.
I don't care what nobody say. The first things I do, I'm checking my email. Man. I want to know what I got, how much money I got, what I didn't pay for. Because you could be sleeping, stuff coming out your account. You're like, hold on.
Things you done subscribe to that should have been canceled, bro. You got all type of stuff going on, bro. You gotta know what's going on, and especially if you're somebody that want more of it, you better be looking at it and figuring out how to protect what you got and how to grow what you got.
And it's so funny because when it's crazy, bro, because you're not lying. When you focus on that, and it's not like you all day your brain is on looking at your bank account. But when you just have an intention and focus behind checking to see what's going on, intentional and focus about making more, making more money will just become easier.
Man, and I just gotta add this because you know when I think about the main mindset difference in where I am now, whenever I wasn't making money, versus where I am now versus when I wasn't making money, I think it was just like the idea of like hoarding money and not having like a mindset to like spend and invest in myself. It's like people will go broke on Christmas, people will go broke for their kids' birthday party, for whatever it might be. But when it comes to
prom,
that's like the Super, like you said, like the Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying? It's like people will go broke for Christmas, prom, whatever it might be, but they won't go broke investing in themselves to get to the next level. And it's so easy to become successful financially, like I said, in 2025, because everybody is just so distracted and they are afraid to invest in themselves, to get information that can actually teach them how to make money.
Facts, bro. I agree wholeheartedly, man. And before we wrap up, bro, this is the final thing I got for you. You got one piece of advice for somebody that's listening. They might be in a mental emotional, financial place you was in when you was whatever your worst point was, you know what that is. There's somebody that's listening to this that may be in that place right now. What's your best piece of advice for them to get that ball rolling and get out of that space?
Man, to get that ball rolling, bro, a couple things. I would say, like, if you watching this, whatever you gotta do, come find me. I got you. But you gotta get that credit together. Like, especially if you somebody that's living in the US, like whatever it take for you to invest in getting that credit right, whatever it gotta be, like that's gonna give you like just breathing room that you might not have. And you gotta find a mentor. You gotta surround yourself with somebody that's living a type of lifestyle that you want to live, or their daily life, you know, is what you want. You know what I'm saying? It's like somebody that's pulling up in a Lamborghini. Like, we both got to go to Starbucks. It's like, why did I have to ride the bus and then walk down the block and this dude put up in a Lamborghini? Why does he think different? How is he operating on a day-to-day basis? And what is he thinking about that can help me, you know, start to think about those things? So I would say, like, that's the number one thing for me. Is like just not being afraid to just let that shit go, not hoarding money, whatever it might be, and just finding somebody that's like in position that can teach me just a way to make money, bro. Because making money is a skill. It's like you got it or you don't. It's like
it is.
A winner is gonna find a way to win.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? It's like any business venture can work, but it's like you gotta work it. And you gotta put in the work. And so you might be watching this thinking you going hard, but the people that's ahead of you, they going way harder, and they got more resources. So they probably got people that's working for them going hard too. So it's like you got to work that much harder to kind of just get out of that survival mode. And I think Nipsey said it, you know, like whenever people try to penetrate the atmosphere, it's like that escape velocity. You got to go harder and apply more pressure than what's like holding you back to get out of that environment. So if the people you're around is holding you back and they're not on the same type of time, you know, investing in mentors, whatever it might be, you might have to look online and connect with somebody else, you know, different things like that. So.
No, I agree, bro. And I love it, bro. That's why exposure and network is so important, because you would think that you're doing a lot. You working hard, you putting your best foot forward until you get around others. Man. It's like, I can't remember if it was Anthony Edwards, what NBA player it was. And he was like, man, I thought like my workouts was tough and hard. And he was like, he ran around Kevin Durant and Steph Curry. And he was like, their workouts was literally like, I realized I wasn't doing enough. I wasn't doing nothing at all. Man. And that makes you better.
1,000%, bro. My mentors say something like, you know, like once your mind is expanded to a certain level, like you can't go back. So it's like, you know, once I seen, you know, and I haven't even been to Atlanta, but even just being online, once I seen that people that look like us was driving Lambos and stuff, and they wasn't in the league.
Right.
I mean, that's how I pulled up in one, because it's like, man, it's like they not no better than me. You know what I'm saying? It's like somebody got to drive it, somebody got to make the money, somebody got to be able to travel. Why not me? Why not you?
Man, I love it. Ain't no better way to wrap up than that, bro. I want to say I definitely appreciate you coming on. You had a lot of value. But before I let you go, plug in all your stuff where people can find you, follow you, become a client, become a mentee, everything you got going on.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So like I said, my name is Basil Jackson. I go by Billionaire Baze on all social media platforms. That's Billionaire, BAZE _. You can find me on YouTube. A lot of game on there, you know, just about credit funding, how I really was able to transform my life in such a short amount of time. And yeah, for everybody watching this, I got to do something special. You know, have some heavy hitters in the credit space. So I'm gonna do a free class for everybody that's watching. I really just want to help people that are watching this be able to make an extra $5,000 to $10,000 a month. You know, so I'll be doing a virtual event, but you know, in the meantime, everybody watching this, no matter when you watch this, I'll be doing a free class. I do them a couple of times a week, just giving out game on how to make an extra $5,000 to $10,000 a month. You know, by starting a funding business or just online marketing your business, getting clients, whatever it is you might do. And if you're a business owner or somebody watching this that wants to get access to capital, you know, to grow or start your dream business, we can help you with that as well.
Perfect. And those links, they're going to be in the description and the show notes of this episode. So y'all can tap in and keep getting that game and value from Baze. And that's all I got on this episode. Y'all make sure y'all follow him, tap in. Y'all follow me on all platforms as well. I'm at Millionaire Mindsets Pod and Xavier Miller. That's everywhere. Thank you guys for tuning in. See you next episode. Peace.